Are you in a place where you feel your motivation has completely died because whatever you're facing, whatever you're going through is getting the best of you? If that's you, I have some solutions for you that could potentially help you. Welcome to the Unstuck Podcast. I'm your host, Drew Cause. And as always, co-host is somewhere around the house. So if co-host comes down, she's part of the team. Co-host, if for those who don't know, is my 4-year-old daughter. Let's get into this. How do you stay motivated in a tough time? I want to first say you want to acknowledge what exactly is happening. You don't want to go through this whole ordeal like, I'm just going to stay positive. I'm just going to stay positive. Yes, you do want to stay positive, but something is happening that is possibly shaking up your routine, possibly shaking up your life, and possibly shaking up your sanity. I don't want to take that lightly, but I want us to just recognize that something is happening. Something has happened. This usually happens when you're in transitions. Something that happened today, we were cooking and all of a sudden a light went out, something in our breaker went out. So majority of our house has light and then a breaker has messed up something and we have to get it fixed. And all of these things can happen. And it was on top of transitions that we were going through. Somebody just died that we know. Life can be hard, and I want you to not pretend that it's not hard, but I would love to invite you into a different way of looking at it. It's a Bible verse that Jesus talks about. In this world you have tribulation, but be of a good cheer because I've overcome the world. Now, for me, when I first saw the verse, I was like, why don't you just not let it be tribulation? But if we're trying to get better, if we're trying to grow something, tough times, hard times do come. So first thing I would say is be real. I'm a big believer in if you can journal or get to somebody that's a friend and talk to them about what exactly is happening. Can you discuss like, hey, this thing is really tearing me apart. This thing is really heavy on me. Sometimes just talking it out lets you realize, okay, things are shifting, things are changing, but it's a reason why these things are happening. It's similar to working out. When you're fighting through some hard workouts or workouts that you did not want to do, those usually end up being the best workouts. Why? Because you've persisted and you've become relentless, and also you've put what I like to say, money in the bank to let your body know we're going to do this no matter what, because this is a commitment we're making to ourselves, whether it's tough or not. But in regular life, a tough time, a tough spot, a tough season can make you feel that you're never going to come up. And that's not true. So first thing is recognizing and just saying, hey, this is where I'm at. The second thing I would do is let's start working on better language. Not affirmations, but better language. Myron Golden has said this so many times and it's drilled in my head and I love it. He always says, if something's not working for you, it's working on you. And if it's working on you, it's actually helping you become the person that can handle the things that will come at the next level. If it's a better business, if it's more money, if it's a better relationship, whatever it is, if we're allowing whatever is happening to work on us, we can become the person who can withstand when things happen at a different level. People should say back in the day, new level, new devils. Or if you get a bigger blessing, there's more responsibility. So the second thing I would say is let's think about our language. What are we exactly saying to ourselves about what's happening? This is a hard pill to swallow because I do it sometimes. The woe is me syndrome. Why is this happening to me? This should not be happening to me. People who do bad things, I used to always say this and it's not right. I used to always say, God, I'm trying to just live right. And there's people who are selling kids, drugs, stuff like that. And they are not going through hard times. You don't know what people are going through, first of all. So we can't say that. But our language has to change. And your language changes based on what you put in your head, especially in the times when you're going through stuff. Now, I'm not a big TV watcher. I like YouTube. But I would say in tough times, what I want to do and what you want to, can I start listening to? What can I start putting in my head on a consistent basis? What audiobooks, what podcasts can I start to retrieve so that my language starts to change about what I'm facing. I've gotten better. I haven't mastered it, but I've gotten better at, if something happens, I used to always say, if it's not one thing, it's another. No, God, you're going to provide. God, you're going to show me how to do this. Give me the wisdom. I'm going to see the brighter side of it. It's not easy, but it's worth it. So the first thing was recognize and be for real what's happening. The second thing is your languaging. The third thing is I want you to become a giver even in a tough season. And what do I mean by a giver? If you're suffering from not having motivation, go give somebody motivation. If you are suffering from not having wisdom in a certain area, you know something that somebody doesn't know, or you know a plan or a tactic or a tip that could help somebody else out. Go give that. If you are having just a day where nothing is going right, go make somebody else's day right. As weird and cheesy as that may sound, you don't realize sometimes taking your eyes off of yourself and off of the problem will allow you to see that, hey, this is going to be okay. I'm going to get through this. David Goggins said something, and man, it wakes me up. Every time he says it, I get chills. He says, I kept stopping because I wasn't breaking the soul of whatever was in front of me. And you have to be willing to be relentless to break the soul of whatever is in front of you. He goes on to say, nothing is going to keep standing in the way of somebody who is relentless. What if the tough time is actually producing good in you? What if the tough time is actually pruning you so that you can go and do better and do more? What if the tough season is like taking off like the things that you don't need? When we think about growing, the first thing that we usually think about is how much stuff we can add on versus what can we take off? What can we shed? What can we give away so that we can be more effective? We're not downplaying that the time is tough. We're just willing to be relentless. When I left fitness, I kid you not, leading up to leading fitness, it felt like, oh my God, this is going to be so cool. And then like a month leading, like, hey, I'm about to be in a real transition. I've done this for 14 years. I started having real bad anxiety, worrying. I got sick like 2 times. These are tough times, but what is it teaching me? I want to ask the question, and I want to challenge you to ask the question, what is this time teaching me? What is this time pushing me to learn? What is this time pushing me to recognize? If it's a tough time, that means I'm a tough person. God won't put a hurdle or a barrier in front of you that he's not going to either move or you move it. But this does not mean that I'm going to stay in this place. And it's very hard. I'm not saying that it's easy to talk like that when you're in the middle of something. But if we be honest, I'm in the middle of a lot of things. And I'm doing this because I want you to realize that you have what it takes. You have the ability to move forward. You have the ability to fight back. You have the tenacity to show up and be relentless no matter what. It's in you, man. It's in you, ma'am. I want to encourage you because the enemy will always make us feel that tough times are going to be forever. We got to acknowledge it. We got to change our language. We got to go and sow those seeds. We got to change our perspective, and we have to talk back. I'm not going to let this just take me out. I had a saying a long time ago, you should have killed me when you had the chance. Because if I wake up, I'm going after it. I don't care if I'm limping. I don't care if I'm sad. I don't care if I'm crying. I'm going after it. So what do you do when tough times come? How do you stay motivated? The motivation may change throughout the season. The motivation may change throughout the time frame. But I tell you this, if you acknowledge, hey, this is tough, I'm going to change my language. I'm going to go and sow seeds. I'm going to decide to be relentless. I'm going to commit to being relentless. I'm going to make the choice every day that I wake up that I'm not going to give in. I'm going to go win. And when you are in a place like that, you'll start realizing that, hey, this might be tough, but I'm tougher than this. I'm better than this. I'm bigger than this. And I don't want to sell you hype, but I do want to sell you on yourself. You've been through worse. You've been through more. You've been through hard things, and look what has happened. You've come out of it. You've graduated, and this is your test to graduate. You are going to make it. Go be great, guys. Go be great.